Fine. So last class we were working on our constraints, and we had almost done about this primary key, not null, unique. These part we had finished in the first class. Second class we started working on the check constraint, followed by default, and then followed by the foreign key. So foreign key is, I think I left at that point last class, where I was talking about that you are supposed to create the table first, which is going to have the primary key, and then create the second table, which has the foreign key, and it is correlated to the primary key of the previously created table. Okay. Always remember that. Don't start creating the table first, which has the foreign key. It will always give a problem because you're going to talk about the reference there for the corresponding primary key, and that will not happen if you do not make the primary table first. Okay, so take care of that. Fine. Now there was one thing that I somehow missed out, that was this default example. Now how do you actually activate this default part? How to give the default constraint? We can see it here, that I've created a table and I'm telling him that city default value is Jaipur. So if user doesn't enter a given value, what should be displayed is the Jaipur. What should be stored is the Jaipur value. Okay, but isko implement kaise karte hain? That needs to be seen and understood. It's that little different. Let me create a table quickly with this particular thing. For example, I'm talking about a table S. I can't think of any name. Okay, with ID, name, and price. ID, name, price, area. Okay, so ID int. I'm not adding any other specification. Name, char, followed by price, and then we have this called as area, where I'm saying that it can be north, west, south, east, but by default I want to keep it north, or I'm at the west side of Delhi, so let me keep it west. How do I write it? Default space, no brackets, nothing. Okay, check has its own bracket, default doesn't, and encodes the value. What is the value? Being a character value, so I have to put quotes here, west. Right? Closure of the command create table and semicolon. Now, when you open the description of this table, what you find here is that we have seen this description earlier too, where if there's any key you add, he adds that key here, like primary key. If you add, he'll write it here. If you are trying to say that it's a primary key, so here it will say no, null value is not allowed. If I try to create another not null constraint field, then that place also it will be written no, this place, because null value is not acceptable. So that is why it is going to be no. If it is yes overall, so everywhere in every field I can add a null value. Okay, this is for the key, and this is for the default setup. What is the default value? Now here you can see that I have put west. Okay, but what happens is the confusion lies in the fact that if I try to insert a record by not giving the value for area, expecting that he will put the default value, it doesn't work like that. Insert into S values, brackets open. Okay, so I'm saying ID 1, name is chair, price is 500, and area it should take as west, so I don't give the area value. Okay, if you do it like this, then there's trouble which comes up, which says column count doesn't match. That means for 4 fields, you are not able to give 3 values, expecting that default automatically aa jayega. That doesn't work. We use a small keyword that's called as default. Okay, this keyword we put wherever we want him to pick up the default value. Okay, now in this case, for area, I have specified the default value as west, so he will pick up west. Let me do it for price also. Though I have not specified any default value, system specifies the default value of price as null. And that's the same for all the fields. Okay. So if you do not mention that and you write default instead of it, so he will be like, instead of the actual value, I want to put the default value. What is default value? Null. Now you will say, ma'am, it's easy to write null instead of default. I agree. But then this option is there for you. Fine. Let's see what it actually adds. To see the records, I go for my normal select command. Select star from S. Can you see this? So in the area, you see that he has added West because that's my default value. And for price, it has added null automatically because I wrote default. And the default value for this is null, which is an inbuilt thing. I could have written null also directly here, but this option is also there. Okay, so any point of time for any particular field, you want to make a default setup, make and keep it while creating the table. And then later, wherever you want to add that default, just you have to write the default keyword. You don't have to remember ki kya tha or kya nahi tha, and that gets added automatically. Okay. Can somebody just take screenshot of the screen? This is the way I put the default thing. This is how it appears. When I write it like this, that is, I omit the value, it gives me an error. But when I write it like this, the default value is added. I've just highlighted. Please take a screenshot and post it in the class group. I hope it's done. Has somebody done it?
Yes, ma'am. I took it.
Okay, thank you. Fine. So this is how this default stuff works actually. You cannot omit the entry. You have to write it, and what you have to write is default. Okay, so this is one thing which I want to show. Second is our foreign key. So I'm back to my foreign key story also, right? So how do I write it? I write it like this, references. So this was one basic example with all the thing. This is what is the table I was talking about yesterday, that there's a student table which has got roll number, student name, date of birth, and GID, guardian ID. Guardian ID is actually a primary key of the guardian table, which has the details of the guardian. So there could be one guardian who has got, supporting multiple students. Or like, in our school, we have foster mother concept. The all hostelers have a foster mother, right? Like, so under one foster mother, like one teacher is one foster mother and she has about 3 or 4 kids associated to her, right? So that is how it could be the guardian, and details of the guardian are there in the other table. And here the GID is my primary key. Okay. So this particular value when goes to the GID in the student table, I mention that as my foreign key. Now, how do I mention? There are two ways of mentioning that. First, I'm showing you the way we do it in a table constraint format. Okay. So guardian table, I said, that's the base. Guardian hoga, tabhi guardian ka GID you can pick up and use it in the student table. So in the guardian table, you will have your GID as the primary key in the normal manner, whether column constraint or table constraint. Here I'm using it as the column constraint. In the student table, now I start creating roll number is there, student name is there, date of birth is there, and GID is there. Okay. Now I did not create anything, mention anything in the column part. Like in front of the columns, I've not written anything. So here I'm using the table constraint method. Primary key, in front of that I'm writing roll number. Foreign key, front of that I'm writing GID. And what is it referring to? And then this line comes up. References, guardian, bracket, GID. So references, the guardian table. And what in the guardian table? The GID field of the guardian table. Okay. If I would have done it in the table manner, the column manner, then I would have just taken up this line, okay, and put it in front of the GID details. So there I am not supposed to write foreign key GID again. I can just write GID char 5, references, guardian, bracket, GID. Okay, So this is the table constraint method, and what I'm telling you as such that you just have to pick this data up and take it to the GID field specification. Then will be my column way of defining. In both ways are absolutely correct. Whichever way you want to do it, it's completely your wish. Is it clear? Fine. Another example. Before I move on further, like here, we've tried to use almost all the constraints. Like here, I have a primary key, I have not null, I have default, I have department referring to the department table called decode. So this is my foreign key here. When I do it like this, I'm repeating again, no need to write foreign key. It is not supposed to be. No need is like you don't have to write. If you write, it will go wrong. Okay, so here you don't have to write FOREIGNKEY. You don't have to write that. Okay, primary key has to be written as primary key. Unique is only unique, no unique key. Right? Few things where we just find that thing confusing when it just comes in front of it. That हमने तो कभी try नहीं किया कि unique key लिख सकते हैं कि नहीं लिख सकते. I'm telling you that it is unique only. You're not supposed to write anything else here. Fine, so I've given one example where I've explained it here to you so that you can correlate this to with the concept easily. This is the table column method, and the other example here which we have taken is the table constraint method. Okay. Now a few things where you have to be careful about. Again, a repetition, we have discussed this part. In a situation where we want to create a combination of two fields or more, this is just, I'm saying two fields, but it can be more than two fields also as a primary key, then it is compulsory to use the table constraint method. I told you earlier that you cannot write primary key in front of roll number also, primary key in front of S name also, if you want to make these two in combination work uniquely. Like a combination of roll number and name will behave as my primary key. If I want to do that, then I am not supposed to write this like this. It will not accept it. Because here you're trying to tell him, he feels that roll number is also a primary key, S number is also a primary key. Okay, so not acceptable. Then in this case, using the table method becomes compulsory. Okay, how do I do that? I first give all the specifications of the column as usual. And at the end, before I put the closing bracket, okay, I can put the primary key reference. Now here I've taken the foreign key reference also. That's okay. If you don't want to do it, you can put it here. That's not a problem. That's not essential. But this is essential. Okay. Primary key bracket RNO comma S name. So this will make him work the way I want him to work. That is, the combination of roll number and S name is unique. Roll numbers individually might not be unique. S names individually might not be unique, but a combination works unique. So these two put together is going to behave as my primary key. That's the thing you want to convey here. And when you want to convey this message, it has to be written like this only. You cannot go by the other method that you put primary key here also and you write primary key here also. That is not acceptable. Not acceptable at all. Okay, that's one thing. Next is we now start with the alterations. Now, once I create the table, I have defined my primary key, unique, not null, foreign key, whatever I had to do. Okay. Now, what happens is sometimes we tend to forget. I have made one primary key. Now I want to change the reference, or I want to remove the primary key reference. I want to make something not null now, or I want to remove the not null reference. I want to, make something unique, which was not earlier defined unique, but now I want to do it. So changes. You want to either make something, add a constraint or remove the constraint basically from the existing table, right? And because this is all about the structure again, so what command comes handy? Alter table, right? What all things have we done in alter table till now? What all things can I do with the alter table command? Yes. What do you remember? Alter table lets me do what all things? Come on. What all things can we do with the alter table? I can add a new column. I can delete an existing column, complete column. I can change the name of the column. And what else can I do? Add a new column, change the name of the column, delete the column. Third one, fourth one, I can change the specification of the column. What else specification did we change earlier? We changed the width of the column or the data type of the column. Let's quickly do a few examples of this so that, one example of each, not everything. So I have this table S. I want to, now this is the column descriptions. It's not the data. What are the data which I get from select star? The output what I get from select star. So that is the data. Okay. Records. This is the column description. Right. So in the column description, what do? I am now trying to add a new column. So quickly, alter table S. How do I add? ADD. That's the keyword I use. New specifications about the column I will add on. So what I can give here is color, suppose. I want to preserve the color of the item also. So I'm saying color, data type char, and let the color size be, width size be, suppose 15. Okay, semicolon. So this part, the way you write when you have created the table, similarly you will write, no extra things. Okay, absolutely similarly you will write one column ka specification, no extra things. Just what you add is the ADD, that I want to add this as my new column. Okay, how do I see or check whether it has been added or not? Yes, it has been added to my structure. New column added. Right? I want to change this 20 to 25. What will I do? Alter table. Instead of addition, I am trying to modify. So I write modify. Modification, and the entire specification you have to give again. He will just simply replace that specification with inside. Instead of char 20, I want to make it 25. Let's see whether he has done it or not. You can see here, 25 done, new column, new field added. Right? Yes or no? Say a yes or no. You people did all this or not? Why can't I hear you? Okay, show me a thumbs up. Yeah. Show me a thumbs up at least. Others, okay. Except for B section, there are other section students also sitting in the classroom. This online class? Yeah. Okay, fine. You are awake at least. I know. So these are the things we can do with alter, right? We can drop, we can delete the column also. So let's do one example of that too. If I'm saying that alter table S drop color. Whole column is deleted. There's no need to give char and width and all that. The whole column, complete vertical column is deleted. Removed from my structure. Okay, so all this we did. I'm not doing any more of it. Back to my normal square. I'm a normal table. I have deleted the extra column I added. So all this we have done. So add a column, remove, modify, all that. What we now start learning is that I have created a table, but I forgot to make it as a primary key. Okay, so here I've just given the examples directly to you, like addition of a new column, drop of a column, modification of the column specification, few things we have done. Now let's come down to the addition of a primary key constraint to an existing column. Right now, this table, which I created S, does not have a primary key as defined. As defined for ID. ID should be the primary key, but I forgot to define it. Now, because I forgot to define it, what do? I do alter table. Alter table S, add primary key. Okay, bracket mein you have to tell him which field you want to make as your primary key. Fine. Alter table name, add the primary key. Isko as a sentence भी you can remember, you know, the obviously using hota, so you know that it has not to be, it is not to be. So alter table name, add the primary key and the name in the brackets. Simple. But what is essential in this, that this field should be existing. It will not be like creating the field, I mean adding a field and making it the primary key. That is not allowed. Okay, let me just show you one thing here. Like if I want to now remove the reference of the primary key, sorry, right? So I just say drop the primary key from the table which is already created. No need to give the name because primary key is one only. So he will directly drop it. Let's check up the structure and see. Nothing is there. Okay. Now, supposingly, I'm saying that I want to add a new field, suppose some bill number, which be aisa, okay, and then create that as a primary key. Let us try doing that too. Alter table as add primary key as the, no, not like this. Then it should be add a column first. So add a column will be my bill number, BNO int, followed by the specification of primary key. Let's see whether it takes this thing or not. That is, I'm adding a column to the structure and defining it your primary key as it is. Okay. Now again, that is something which your system takes in SQL. Oracle used to create a trouble. This was not acceptable. The key should be existing. But MySQL works with it. So excellent. You can take it up that this way also I can add my primary key. Fine. That is, you add the column followed by the specification. And that can be done. Otherwise, it is this method also. That is, every time I don't want that, I have to add the key, add the field also. So if it is not adding a new field, then you simply will say alter table name of the table, add the primary key, brackets, the field which you want to make as the primary key. You want to remove the reference, drop the primary key. But with whom? Alter table command, not independent. These commands will not work independently. It has to be with the alter table only. Okay. Again, a compulsory question in the paper, you will definitely be asked to write the command to create the primary key. Fine. I will remove this note because in earlier when we used to do in Oracle, this thing was mandatory. But now I am putting a cut on this just to make you remember that no, it is not. I can add a field and simultaneously make it the primary key. Also add the new field and simultaneously make it the primary key. Add the new field and simultaneously make it the primary. Okay, so the note changes. Next, when you have to remove the primary key reference, alter table S. I showed you that thing, drop primary key. You don't have to write the field name, you just have to say ki jo bhi primary key, because it's not a single field first of all. And if you write the field name will get deleted. I don't want to delete the field name. I just want to delete the reference that this field is my primary key. That is what I want to do. Okay. That is why you have to write the keyword drop ke saath the primary keyword has to be written. Field is not required because if it is a combination of fields behaving as the primary key, even that reference will be taken away. So you don't have to write this particular thing like this. Okay. Next is that when I want to make a primary key as a combination of fields and the fields are existing and I'm trying to create, obviously then that can be done using that mechanism itself. Because if I am using this mechanism, then I cannot do it for मल्टीपल वैल्यूज, मल्टीपल फील्ड्स, है ना, बिकॉज यहाँ पे हम एट अ टाइम एक ही फील्ड ऐड करेंगे एंड एक ही फील्ड के सामने हम प्राइमरी की लिखते हैं, कॉमा करके सेकंड फील्ड करके लिखते हैं, दैट इज नॉट पॉसिबल, इट विल नॉट टेक इट लाइक दैट. ओके, सो दैट इज व्हाई how do I do it when I want to make a combination field as a primary key? Then my only option left is the one which we have done here, that is add primary key and brackets, one field, two field, three field, whatever combination you want to use as the primary key, that you put in the bracket. So this remains your primary format basically. Okay, and when you want to, you already have a table created and now you want to make the primary key. So this is the primary format. Alter table, table name, add primary key, bracket mein single field, multiple fields, whatever that you can do. Okay, so these are the variations which we need to understand and remember for the primary key creation and drop. Right? Now, when you talk about the not null constraint, primary key ka ho gaya? Primary key, when I want to make it with the create table, I do it. When I want to make it after the table is created, I do it like that. Or I want to remove the reference after it is created, so I do it like that. Okay. Next is your not null constraint. Now, not null, adding it to a particular field or removing it from the existing field is not supposed to be done using the keywords add or drop. If you ask me the reason, I don't know why, but that is how the syntax works. You are not supposed to add a field, I mean, the not null constraint to a field using the add clause of alter table. And you're not going to remove the reference of the not null constraint from a field using the drop constraint, drop keyword. Right? So then what am I left with? Modify. So whenever it is working of not null constraint, and it has to be changed कि देना है एक field को या हटाना है उस field से, then it is modify clause of the alter table. Add or drop से नहीं करना. Primary key में you have add and drop applicable, but for not null constraint it is modify. Okay, process is same, the way you use in general modify as such for modification of the field specification also. The process is same. What is the process? Alter table, table name, modify which field you want to modify, uska data type is important here, and not null. So it's almost like giving a new specification of the field only. The field name bhi likho, data type bhi likho, and the constraint also you write. Okay? So when you want to make it not null, write it like this. When you want to remove the not null reference, that is key should, your field should be accepting null values, then you will write null. उसको null कर दो या उसको not null कर दो. ठीक है? Let us try that now. Now here we have, this is our table. So name may I supposingly want to add the reference of not null, that I should not be able to write null values. Okay. So what do? Alter table S, modify, then the field specification किसको modify करना है? I want to modify my name field. Okay. इसका data type क्या है? Char 20. And what do you want to modify in this? I want to add this not null constraint. It's like writing the whole thing again only. Fine. How do I confirm about it? No. Null value not accepted. Was it fine? You can do that for any field, primary, price, area, whatever. Primary key में तो यही है और ID में already not null. I don't know whether I added something for this or not. I made my primary key ID. So it will remove the primary key reference, but the not null reference is still there. Because now BNO has become the primary key, but the not null reference has not been removed from the ID. Okay, primary key has been removed. It was taken up from here and put here. So is it okay? This is how you are going to modify the not null constraint. That is making a field not null. Right? The vice versa of it, that is making a field accept null values back to square one. Name can accept null value. Fine. You want to make it accept not null values. So with the column specification, with the modify clause of the alter table, you have to write not null. When you want him to accept null values, kabhi maine dal diya tha, now I want to remove it. In that case, you will do the same thing, alter table, table name, modify, and the specification of the field. Followed by that, you just have to write null. Start accepting null value. Let's try doing it for the ID also. ID int. And I want them to start accepting null values because it is not anymore a primary key. So nahi karna mujhe usko. Not null. Let it accept null values. Okay. So modify ID int, and then I tell him that please accept null values on this. That's become yes. Can I do it for B number? Can I remove the null reference for B number? What do you say? Yeah. What does your sense say about it?
No, ma'am, because it's a primary key.
Right. Very correct. Okay, so let us try that also doing it and see what it has to say about it. Because I'm really surprised certain cases here. MySQL is accepting the things, but this is very, very illogical if it is going to accept it. I'll do a hands up in that case. Okay, so BNO int, try to make it null. And you say all parts of a primary key must be not null. If you need null in a key, use unique instead. I can make it a unique key and then make it a null acceptance because unique accepts null. Primary key does not. So that is why this was not allowed. Rest everywhere it has let me define it. कुछ तो पहले से थे, दो को मैंने change किया. Fine. So primary key के साथ you have add and drop clauses of alter, and with not null constraint you have modify. Okay. Same applies to your default constraint also. You have to apply the modify clause. Fine. And for unique, you want to add the unique field to a particular field, you will go for the add clause. So I've given these examples here. When you want to go for the foreign key, you will go for the add clause. You want to add the foreign key reference. Add foreign key, name of the field, again like a table format itself. Okay, so for adding the foreign key reference, this is how you do it. For adding the unique reference, this is how you do it. For adding the default value, you go for modification. So not null and default is your modify clause. You're not supposed to use add here. Okay. Change I had written in this particular PPT because last time I did not do change in class 11. We did it in 12. That is why, but now you know change already. We have done that with alter. So changing the field name is possible, but you have to give the old field name, the new field name, and the specifications. Again, just changing the name is not possible. So please keep that in mind. I think this I showed you. I'm not wrong. Alter table S. If I try to change the field name from name to item name, supposedly. So I'm saying isko change karna, name ko change karo. Kya change karo? Make it I name. Okay. And I leave it as it is. It does not work. Fine. With this thing, you have to give the specification also. I think that's the error if I'm not wrong. Yeah. Small things, small rules which you have to keep in mind. Okay. Alter table, when you're wanting to change the field name, the specifications are important. You have to give the specifications. Whenever you are changing, actually, when you're modifying also, you have to give the whole specification. When you're modifying the changes, any kind of, specifications are changing, the data type and width has to be given. If it's date, no, of course, then the width is not applicable. But otherwise, this whole thing has to be given. Otherwise, it will not work. Okay, let's check out whether it's changed the name or not. It has changed the name. Fine, that's all about your alterations with the table. Obviously, the most significant one is working with the primary key and not null constraint. These are the most important ones required for your class 12th studies too. These two are the most common ones, basically, to talk about. Okay. So here it will be easy for you to remember the bifurcation too. When it is primary key ka changes, it's alter table add or drop. When it is not null ka changes, it is alter table modify, not add or drop. Okay, itna to yaad rakhoge, I believe. Fine. Now there's one more interesting thing in SQL, that is creating a new table from existing tables. It is, if I'm not wrong, it's not part of your syllabus directly, I believe. But as such, it is something which is interesting. So I thought I'm simple also. Like you already have a table called as hostel. Okay. No, you already have a student table, complete student table. Suppose I take the scenario of our school itself. So anybody getting admitted, I have the whole data stored at one place, which is a student table, admission table, whatever. Okay. Now, once the students are admitted and everything done, now I have to shift my data of the hostel kids to another table, so that I have a separate data for them, and I can add some more information like unka food preference or something, dorm number, floor, which floor are they sitting, some other details also I want to add for them later. But I don't want to do that for my day scholars. It's only for my hostel people. Okay. So what I want is, like, one option is that I start again creating the hostel table fresh. I make the structure, which is going to be majority of it will be the student details itself, right? Admission number, name, father's name, address, telephone number, date of birth, everything I need, which is there in the student table, everything. But along with that, I want to add some more information also if he's a hostel child. That's pretty obvious. I believe you can understand that thing very well, right? So then rather than creating a fresh table with the same structure as that of student with some extra things, and then again writing the whole, if there are suppose 200 students in the hostel, then 200 records I'm inserting again with all the information, isn't it? So instead of that, there's a very, very simple way to do it. That is this mechanism. Okay. Create table, the name of the table which you want to create as. This as becomes very, very handy. And then you are saying that what do you want from the other table? Select star from student where type is equal to hostel. So I have a field in the student table which says type of the student, day scholar or hostel, right? So that entire data, I want to keep a copy of that in my new table, hostel case. Uske baad I want to add on my new things. I mean, new fields and add the extra data or do that. That I'll do later. First of all, I want to pick up the whole data from the student table and put it into my hostel table as it is, right? So this comes very, very handy. Create table. So the whole structure is automatically created. The entire set of records are automatically copied into it based on whatever condition you are doing. Okay. This condition is actually something related to two tables. You really don't understand that as of now. But this you can easily understand. Simple. Okay. Let's try doing it for some table which is already there with me. If I show you some tables content and just we try to do that. What all did we add in? Item only, something I can segregate from there. What was there? Okay. So supposingly, I want to make a table where my purchases were done after 2000. So all that data should come into another table. 1900 wala sara ek saath and 2000 ke baad ka sara I want to segregate into a separate table. Okay, fine. इसमें तो मुझे कुछ structure भी, बाद में I don't want to add anything to it. I want to keep the same structure, but just that I want to, because my data is becoming too much in this table, so I want to segregate. It's a very, very practical thing which happens, right? So 2000 and above wala data I want to segregate. So any date of purchase which is after 1st January 2000, after 1st January 2000, I want to shift it to my second table. Suppose item post 2000. ऐसा कुछ नाम let's keep it. Okay, so let's do that. Create table item post 2000, right? As select star from. Actually, I'm giving select star because I want everything. If you want some selected fields also, you can pick the selected fields also because it is a select query. So whatever you have learned in select query, everything you can write here. Whether it's in the condition part, whether it's order by, whether it's, you want to sort the data and keep it, you want to arrange it in descending order and keep it, you want to pick up a few things as per the condition, you want to pick up all the null values in a particular field and keep it. Jinka warranty is null, I want to pick up that data, whatever. I mean, that's completely depending upon your need. So let's start from item where the OPUR is greater than 2000 dash 01 dash 01 1st January 2000. Now it's doing the magic. Okay, so there are 3 records. If it is saying 3 rows affected, is it 2003, 2002, 2001? See, 3 records. So now how do I check whether this item post 2000 is ready or not? First, let's check the structure. So DESC item post 2000. Absolutely same structure as that of the item, right? And when I say select star from item post 2000, all these records have been shifted as it is. Isn't it interesting? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, it's very useful also. These kind of things are very useful too. Okay, so that is how this part is to be done. Alterations, definitely very important. Yes, little confusing also. But I'm telling you the major thing which I'm going to ask is about the primary key addition deletion and your not null constraint addition deletion. Majorly. Right? So practice that thing thoroughly. You should know the format. You should not miss something or write it in the other way. Okay, that's all about your constraints, table constraints, types of constraints, how to add on constraints and work with them. Okay.